Atlantic has become Nigeria's most sought-after city for its high-end infrastructure, prestige, and well-planned city layout, as reflected in an 8-lane boulevard, about 13 internal bridges, underground cables, and green footprints defined by over 30,000 trees. Additionally, having a building in the city has become a trend among the so-called big boys, as was the case with Old Ikoyi, Victoria Garden City, popularly called VGC, Osborne Foreshore, and now Banana Island. In this special report, Bayo Olaoye states that this talk of "I belong" and the prestige mentality has also spread to the big firms. Before now, Kingsway and Ozumba Mbadiwe used to say that Victoria Island were the go-to locations for high-rise office buildings. These locations are home to iconic developments such as Kingsway Towers, Heritage Palace, Fanfa Towers, the Wings and the Waves, among others, making them Nigeria's equivalent of Silicon Valley. The Eco-Atlantic City was modeled after the skyscraper district of Manhattan Island in New York City. It has become the new destination for big-ticket corporate firms which are building or relocating their new headquarters to the 10-square-kilometer city, rising off the coast of the Atlantic Ocean in Lagos. The city is attracting investment interests in both residential and commercial real estate, the latest being MTN Nigeria, preparing to build a new headquarters. MTN is coming on the heels of First Bank, which recently turned the turf to build a 40-floor corporate head office, making the city's most iconic development so far. Prior to this courageous and ambitious entry into Eco City by MTN, First Bank, Dangote Group, and the Embassy of the United States of America have taken positions there, developing a new head office and a diplomatic facility respectively. Much earlier, a co-development company had occupied the city as the developer of the Azure Towers, offering both residential and commercial facilities for high clients and corporate bodies. Arkland Property Investment and Oak Homes are also in the city, developing A&A towers simultaneously. These are the residential developments that will be standing on the 22nd floor and the 33rd floors respectively. Other developments are the Pan-African Towers by Periwinkle Residences, Eco Pearl with Champagne Tower and Eco Pearl Black Tower, Amni Towers and Army International Petroleum Development Company, and Louisville Towers by Total Energy Staff Cooperative and Multipurpose Society. Louisville will comprise 300 residential homes spread between 2 towers, a world-class sporting center and a club, retail outlets and other facilities. It is designed to employ modern technology to achieve smart living and high standards. Eco-Atlantic is an exclusive luxury city with superior infrastructure that appeals to the kind of investors we have seen in the city so far.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Well, you already know my name is Steve Omojafo, and my middle name is Bamidele. That was the name that my parents gave me at birth, because it was like they regarded themselves as not Lagosians. It is Providence that brought them into Lagos, and I then happened to be born here at Odo Street, Balinde. And in fact, we didn't go to Mercy Hospital then. There was a little home along Odo Street run by a very experienced nurse, Mama Nurse, that's what So I was born in that little place and grew up from there. Like I said, my middle name is Bamidilim. My parents probably said, well, we have had it here, but this is not home. As at that time, you will go home with us. No problem. So as to Campus Square, to Tokunbo, Okekpokpo, So we were neighborhood. We were children of the area. So I'm never ashamed to say I'm an area boy in Lafiaji. Today it has become a taboo, but then we were proud of our origin. We were proud of our place of birth, and we were proud growing up in the neighborhood. We help out because it wasn't their fortune to be able to have gone. I know some dropped out, on their own volition, but generally we all like the idea of going to school, but some couldn't make it. But we still relate to them. We are still friends. So I'm not surprised I leave Holy Cross Cathedral and I just hear people call me my names. And I know these people are those who knew me when we were growing up. Yeah. Okay. Let me start by saying that even at secondary school, I read a lot. I was interested in the newspapers, and a lot of the time I read something, there was always this beautiful column of letters to the editor. So anything that I read that I liked, I sit down, 2-3 paragraphs letter to the editor to compliment what they've done, to criticize what I didn't like, and these things were published, and I liked it. Okay, you open the paper. Little plays. So one of the roles I played was Akimbodilon. So when I started writing my columns in Daily Times and Lagos Weekend, I just used that pen name, Akimbodilon. So I did the program and I started writing for Daily Times campus news, things that happened during elections, battle between the male and female, problems with the tutors and everything. So it became a very regular program. In fact, I inherited the program from late Godabo Ogusawo, who was my boss in the Daily Times. So I did that program for 3 years. It became very popular. It got to a point vice chancellor will call me to say, there's a little thing going on in the university. I hope you have covered it for your paper. And I'm sub-editor and also a reporter. Combined everything. So that was where my interest grew, and it was very painful when I had to leave the Daily Times organization. And what did I go to? Linters advertising. When I walked into Linters, and I said to the chairman managing director, and I said, I want a job. I said, just like that? I said, yes, sir. Then it was easy to communicate with people. We're not too many, so they listen to you. So he said, what are you doing now? I said, I'm a sub-editor at the Daily Times. So why are you coming to advertising? I want to broaden my space. I want to broaden my experiences. It took about 3 months, and I got a job in Linters. And I remember Alhaji Babatunde Joseph, when I was going to leave, said, look, Steve, where are you going? I said, I'm going to Linters. I said, well, we do the same thing. They package programs commercially. Here we do our papers and we go sell, So I said, okay, sir, let me just go gather some experience at Linters. And Linters and Daily Times were just 5 minutes walk from each other. And I said, sir, if the editor needs me for anything, trust me, I will spend my time and money, do write-ups for Daily Times. So I was like working in advertising and still writing for the Daily Times. So that was my life. From Linters, we set up our own company known as Roosevelt Advertising Limited. And Roosevelt, was formed by 3 partners, two friends of mine. 3 of us were at Lagos University at the same mass comm department. So we came out, and I left Daily Times to set up Roosevelt. One of my partners left Cadbury to join us, and Akodusi left Admark, another advertising company. So 3 of us came together and we set up Roosevelt. We call ourselves second generation agencies, because before then we were the Ogilvy, the Linters, Grant Advertising, and so on. So we set up a small shop in Surrey, and it grew beyond our own imagination. From Roosevelt, we set up a second line agency called McCann, STB McCann. Got affiliated to a company in America, McCann Erickson. So that was how it all went on. Now, I didn't do banking, and I didn't work as a banker. The interesting story is that one day, while still at Roosevelt, STB McCann then, I got a phone call from somebody I've never met before. And I picked up the call. He said, my name is ABC, blah, blah, blah. And he said, the managing director of Zenith Bank wants to talk to me. So I said, look, there's no problem. I know I'm not owing any bank and all that. He said, no. He just wants to talk to you. So I picked up, he picked up the line and said, my name is this. I said, my name is this. He said, can we meet? So I said, she, no problem. He said, no. So we agreed to meet. And it got to be that he wanted to appoint a couple of directors for the bank before they went public. And what I said to him was, I'm not a banker. I didn't study finance or economics. He said, no. What I want from you is your name and your integrity. Nothing beyond that. That was the beginning of the story. So I got onto the board, and I learned a lot. You know, I'm somebody who doesn't get to a place and I want to show them what I know or what I don't know. You could make a fool of yourself sometimes. So for me, like the first 6 months or 1 year, was just go to the meeting, listen to them, know where they are coming from, know what the focus is, and know what the expectations are. So I picked it up from there. Gradually, I got into the system. Of course, naturally, buy some books on banking, finance, just read, you know, so at least you know how the banks operate. I've always been a customer of the banks. It is very small scale. And all I did was follow the banking trend. You know, there weren't too many banks in Nigeria at that point in time, but I followed through. And that was it. I got onto the board. And somewhere along the line, there was the policy of the central bank. The managing director had to step aside, so to say. The chairman had overspent some time regulated by the CBN. And they approached me and said, you are going to become, at the board, you're going to become the chairman of the board. I said, me? And they said, yes. I've met a lot of people here, so why me anyway? To cut the short story long, I was eventually made the chairman of Zenith Bank. And I was there, I was chairman for 4 years. And then CBN rules changed again. The MD came back, and I was very happy to hand over the bank to him. And I said I was going to leave when he came back. He said no. Statutorily, as he had 2 more years on the board, that no, you got to stay and live out your time. And then, so I did. And after 12 years, I eventually bowed out from the bank and returned full time to my own job, which I've been known for, and that is the media world. Okay, so I get invited for interviews, for programs here and there. Like you said, it's always a good thing. You have something you have learned over the years, you want to impact it on the younger ones, who are coming. I mean, my first son, for instance, went through the media scene, now in advertising, and I go on encouraging them. I retired from active day-to-day operations about almost 15 years ago. But I'm still keeping pace with what is going on around me. Yeah, I mean, the society itself is very dynamic. There's been a lot of changes over time. I mean, I look back to during my own time in the newspaper world, and I can count just about 4 or 5 newspapers then, okay? Morning Post, Daily Times, The Express, and a couple of others. So we knew each other, we knew the practice, we exchanged news information, we exchanged, I mean, if you had a news that was breaking, you want to call up colleagues from other papers, we all go there as a team, right? Because stories will be written from different angles, no matter what you do, So, newspaper was great. And it was so good. In the morning, your byline was there, and people were trying to reach you, about the quality. Quality was good. Quality was good. And there wasn't too much of freelancing in those days, in the newspaper world. So you were either fully employed or you didn't belong. Same thing for radio. I mean, for instance, television I didn't do much about. while in journalism and in newspaper world, I was writing for radio, okay? Interesting stories. I had, there was a name to this program, the Oddities, Odd World. So we were picking up things that were odd. People that didn't imagine what they were. It's not something that was very common. So we went on doing that. So newspapers were growing, radio was growing, television was growing, and out-of-home media was also growing. And talk about the dynamism of the system. Suddenly, people were now going out of buying a newspaper every day to sit down and hold it in front of you, trying to read from beginning, from cover to cover. Other forms of communication came on. With the advent of mobile phones, things began to change. In our own time, it was the phone you put on the desk and you were dialing it, a lot of the time you could never get across, okay? Suddenly, mobile phone came onto the scene. And news coverage was transformed completely from what it used to be. Okay? So now people on their phone could reach out, you could touch Germany, touch America, touch all parts of Europe, just sitting down in your office to gather information, gather news, what is new, And then, of course, we now had more television stations, no longer NTA alone, okay? Now, with the news stations, things were just expanding. Things were broadening up, and news gathering became something new altogether, and everybody was heading for a new phenomenon altogether. So today, you don't have to be a big guy to be able to tell your stories. Little children tell their stories, females tell their stories, So really we have moved from the days of waiting to read your newspaper to gather your news. Now, with your phone on your palm, you could do wonders all over. But of course, standard also, in some areas, standard will improve. In some areas, standards will go down. Because the multiplicity of media sources create problems. The kind of quality control we used to have in those days was disappearing. And people can build up stories without even being there to know if it is factual or not. So of course, the turmoil that we are going through in the media space now is better imagined. But I still believe that for those who have structures like the one you are building up now, will enable people to know that you've got to check, you've got to cross-check, okay? We have laws that control what we say, what you do, what you publish. Of course, they are not as rigid as they should be, So in terms of content these days, you have to ensure that you check your facts before you can believe, what they are saying or make any sense out of them. So really it has become all commerce affair. And this is not going to be the end. The explosion is going to continue. Maybe in a few years to come, we're going to have a stronger media control than what we have now. People are building content. You go on YouTube, you go on all kinds of media and you are getting all kinds. What you hear from your WhatsApp is different from what you're going to get in your YouTube. You go to Instagram, people are selling themselves with all kinds of stories. So really, for me, we've gone through the era of sanity. Yeah? And I hate to say, we've gone into the era where anything you can think of, say it, write it, do it. And for the consumers, it's like you either take it or you leave it. But it's good that we can now reach out much, much widely. I mean, thanks to our mobile news. I mean, we talk to people in any village in Nigeria, and suddenly one thing that didn't grab us so early was you open up your Google map, and you don't have to stop people on the street anymore. Show me where I'm going. Just go to the app, and it leads you to the front of the house you are going to. So we have a lot of improvements, and I think it's going to be improving some more. All we just need to watch is to ensure that we remain truthful and we remain factual, so that we don't mislead people on the street, particularly people in the rural areas. One day you just see everybody running helter-skelter. Myself more as a customer than a board member. I haven't been a journalist, which I still am. I wrote so much about what consumers or customers were going through in the banks. It was the period of tally number, Remember this commercial, where somebody carried a mat. I said, what are you carrying a mat in the bag? I said, I want to lay down here because I know before I get my money, I will have slept once or twice and woken up, So I was very consumer oriented. When I got into the banking system, a couple of times my board members will ask me, are you on the board? Who will come into the bank feel important? Because it's your money in the bank. Even if it's only 1,000 naira, it's your money. You need to be treated with some dignity and respect. And that was my mentality that I took into the board of the bank. I said, listen, I am not too happy the way customers are treated. It is their money, no matter how small. Treat them with respect, treat them with dignity. So they started listening to me after some time, and I said, look, customer service is extremely important. In those good old days, you will hardly hear about customer service in any of the major banks. It wasn't there. But gradually, people started being important. It was more of retail. I mean, yeah, you can deal with the big corporate organizations, but at the same time, it is these poor students, poor market women, people who are out there on the street laboring hard to bring their money. So that was one area I was extremely happy that we developed that area of retail banking and being able to make the consumer the king. Okay? So that was part of it. Then, of course, I said to the bank, I said to them, fine, it is very good to make huge profits. Okay? But at the same time, the customers that come in here, and from their money we make our profits, let us also consider the kind of interest they get from their deposits. Today, when the banks take your money to deposit, okay? No. When you go to the bank and say, I need assistance, I need a loan, and you tell them, give them all the facts and figures, okay? They will tell you, you are going to pay interest of 20%, 23%, blah, 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 blah. When they take your money to put in the bank, they give you an interest of 2%, 3%, 4%. And I just couldn't live with it. I mean, if you are giving me a loan, you're charging me so high. When I put my money there, it's also a loan to you. Why will you leave me with 2 or 3%? And I thought the system wasn't quite right. It was too skewed towards the banks than the customer. So I met a lot of pushbacks, in that area. And I must just say, it's an area I think government should still be interested in. In the civilized world, interest rate hovers between 3%, 5%. In Nigeria, it goes as far as, maybe in Africa, not just Nigeria. I know we are developing, but at the same time, let's develop together, for both those that we are taking in their money and for those we are giving money to. So there be some level of balance. So I really worked hard in that area. I may not have fully succeeded. Then I think finally, one other thing that I think I was able to do at the bank is our staff also requires some upliftment. And suddenly banks started, employing senior people. They started moving people up. They look more at the system now than just ownership. So generally, of course, more banks have come into the scene. A lot of new banks. So people can spread out, and salaries started going up for bankers and all that. But of course, requirements were also extremely high. So generally, I think today we have a much stronger banking system, and we are still growing. Now, the banks for a long time have been let loose to do whatever they want to do at the disadvantage of customers, like I started off with. Now, our leaders, and when I say leaders, let me point on just our presidents. The system was such that our presidents could do anything they like with the banks. It was almost an extension of the State House. You just pick up your bell and you ring, and the governor of Central Bank will come shaking, because you had the power to bring him in and fire him. So he had to respect everything that the president wants. And it's wrong. This time around, I can say, even in some parts of Africa, you couldn't run the central bank the way we run understand it here. All the CBN governors wanted to do, please the president, and you are free to do whatever you want to do, and it's wrong. It's wrong. I mean, take even Britain here. Have you ever heard this kind of relationship between the Prime Minister of England and the CBN? No. Everybody has his mandate. In places, in climes like that, the president doesn't call up the central bank governor. Go and do this. Go and do that. Exchange rate should be done. Change your policy to be done. I mean, that's part of the problem we've had in this country. So the last government and their CBN just ran this country to their whims and caprices. You leave your monetary policy. In fact, you were running both monetary and fiscal at the same time. You took the Minister for Finance, for instance, and you have no dealings with him or her. You ran their own programs for them, and you did things that they should do, but they couldn't query you because the president, had your back. So a lot of things went wrong. And the result is now here for all of us to see. So look at the changing of our redesign, what they call redesigning of the currency. Now we know there are so many ways you should have done it, but we put politics and added it into our financial and monetary policies. We wanted to do it specifically to change the course of history. And it is wrong. So today, we now know what's happening at the central bank. In fact, if the true story of what went on in the last 8 years was told, I don't know what will be left of this country. You had this little thing in the Constitution that said the government can borrow from the CBN within certain limits. They call it ways and means. But no. And there was a percentage tied to it. You can't do more than 5%. And by the time you're asking for the new one, you should have paid up. We went on piling up. It's like just go and print the money. What Idi Amin used to do in Uganda in those days. That's the kind of situation we found ourselves. Very regrettable. But I believe some sanity will now come into this place. The new central bank has at least outlined its policies. It has also said, let me keep to my monetary policy, which is my area, and leave the paperwork and how they want to run it. People who deal with the fiscal area. So we want to change. We think things should change. Now, before now, we borrowed without thinking about how are we going to pay? Who are we leaving this debt for? Now we know it's for you and me to still do our work, put in as much money as we can, no matter how little, into the bank, and revive the banking industry. Okay, so the CBN has its own role, and my prayer and my wish is that they will keep their own part of the bargain, leave other people. The Minister for Finance has said it that much, we should. I mean, we all know simple economics. You don't borrow money to pay your debt. You borrow money for production. You borrow money to fix things like your oil maintenance and all that. Where our money should be coming from. That's what you borrow money for. You don't borrow money for wastages. You don't borrow money to satisfy your whims and caprices. You don't borrow money to just go out there and waste it. Now, you borrow money to pay back your debt. At the end of the day, we are back lower than where we started off from. So really, my appeal to both the president and his cabinet, particularly those that do with finance, give them some room. You put them there because you think they know what they're supposed to do. Give them the space. If it goes breathing down their neck, at some point, it will just be, president said so, president said, even things that the president did not say, president said so, and it's got to be done. And we are running a country, even when you run your home, you are able to sit down with your little income and plan. Every day we are being told, if you earn this much, use this little bit, keep the rest in the bank, because you never know about tomorrow. So that's where we found ourselves, and I believe that if everything goes right, we should see massive changes from what it was, the last 8 years. We need drastic changes in the system. My mom in Abalinde used to say to me, when I want to be lazy, he will make sure you do what she wants you to do. And he will remind you that hard work doesn't kill. It is laziness that turns you into an inconsequential human being with no sense of direction. We grew up learning hard work, both in school and out of school. I, for instance, hawked on the streets of Lagos with my mom. You leave St. Gregory's College, now not primary school, St. Gregory's College. You come back. My mother was a textile seller. Got it, probably went to Balogun, pick up. When I come back from school after my lunch, get a basket full of cloth, which I put on my head, and we go from street to street. My mother is carrying her tape rule and another measurement stick, and we'll go around Obalende, Igoshere, Bamboshe, Oshoji, and we were selling. From there, she graduated to owning a shop in Balogun. When I leave school, I was her accountant, so to say, bookkeeper. All the things they sold, I make, keep the records and everything. I helped her take the money to the bank. It was Barclays Bank, what was it called then? Yeah, Barclays Bank, before it became Union Bank in Balogun. So I've learned how to trade. I've learned how to make money. I've learned how to deal with customers. Plus that, I was also a bread seller. Somewhere along Strachan Street off Igoshere, there was a big bakery owned by the Lawson family. To be able to get enough bread, you got to get there between 5 and 6 in the morning. Okay? So let me cut it short. We learned to work hard. And that working hard continued with us up till where we are today. We also were very straight-minded in terms of what we wanted to be. We played pranks, so we went out to play football, we went out to, to play with the girls and everything. But at the end of the day, you returned home. And our parents didn't spare the rod. They didn't. You came back later than expected to. They would lie you on the floor and dealt with you. So the combination of the kind of upbringing and the kind of training we went through home probably kept us where we are. And like I said to you before we started the interview, you knew that if you finish your primary school, secondary school is the next thing. If you finish secondary school, you don't know what you are reading for. Not until probably when you got to the university did it occur to you, okay, I'm going to choose a profession. But all along, we just did it because that was what the system and environment asked for. So, secret of success, hard work, hard work, hard work. No. I had a father who was very finicky about appearance. When I lived on Igbo Road, our church was on Louis Street, so to say, walking distance. He taught me how to wear full agbada right from primary school, secondary school. I mean, today, you just wear buba and shokoto, you go to church. Never was that happening. It's got to be full. Right. Then from there, by the time you got into, my father died while I was in university. Before then, he was always having this very thin bow tie, not this bigger one, bigger sizes now. Thin, even when his dress is khaki and khaki, he still had it on. So I admired him, but initially I was on my long tie, up till a point, and I look back at some photographs we took when we were in the secondary school, and I thought, no, let me go back to those old days. Some people tell me it makes you look old. I said, I don't mind, but these days I have just acquired that fashion taste, which has suddenly become my, what do you call it? Become what I'm known with. And I enjoy it. And I encourage people, once in a while, put on your bow tie. It makes you look good, makes you look impressionable, it makes you look a serious person, and it makes people take a second look at you. I think, number one, parents started sparing the rod. Call it civilization, call it growing up and all that. Parents started sparing the rod because they always whipped us to shape. You knew what was expected of you, and you did it. Because if you didn't do it, your punishment is waiting for you. But as we grew up, you probably will ask me today,
We've got just what you need right here at Venue Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio.
The Strait of Hormuz remains closed, while attacks are also affecting shipping around the Red Sea. These waterways are critical to global oil supplies. Prolonged disruption could mean higher oil prices, increased shipping costs, and more pressure on economies around the world. And finally, on Super Kid today, let's talk Nigerian football. Katsina United player Chinedu Ozo is receiving intensive care after collapsing during a pre-season match. He was initially pronounced dead before reportedly showing signs of life. The incident has once again raised concerns about medical preparedness and emergency response during football matches. For players, having qualified medical teams and emergency equipment at sporting events isn't a luxury. It can be the difference between life and death. And with that, it's a wrap on the Quickie today. Thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to follow us across all of our social media platforms at SOUQ Digital. I am Sarah also, and have a beautiful Wednesday ahead.
We've got just what you need right here at Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Hello there, and welcome to SOUQ Quickie, where I take you around the world in a few minutes. Added to many goods and services, so when prices are already high, the additional tax can further squeeze household purchasing power. The bigger question is whether tax reforms can increase government revenue without placing too much pressure on ordinary Nigerians. Now let's move on to the platforms at SOUQ Digital. I am Sarah also, and have a beautiful Wednesday ahead.
So growing up, I was thinking I would be in the, maybe being doctor or lawyer or, all those mentality then. But right now, I realize that I'm at the roadside roasting corn for the streets of Lagos, that's all.
Akara business doesn't take a lot of money.
I wanted to be an actress. I'm a nurse.
Wait a minute.
Growing up, I always wanted to be a nurse. I'm a nurse.
Okay. Ew, this is a big question. Growing up, when I was very small, I want to become a laboratory doctor.
What do you mean by that?
But I found myself as a hairstylist.
Well, when I was growing up, I actually wanted to become a surgeon.
I mean, it's all right.
Okay, so apparently I'm a business development executive. Basically, we're into investment, immigration, real estate, international real estate, and also international real estate, immigration, investments, and insurance, yes.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you. I actually wanted to become an artist. The one that draws, that does portraits and paintings. Oh.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
Okay, growing up, I wanted to become a doctor.
Perfect.
Oh, I'm actually working for a sales company as a sales representative.
I like to be a businessman.
You serious?
I'm still doing a business also, but I never reached the level I'm expecting.
running after pill does for many women is what people don't talk about. Most of the fibroids, cysts, imbalance in your body, eventual secondary infertility when you get older, they are caused by these pills.
A man drops his seed, walks away, disappears, and that's it. You can come and inform him in 10 years' time that he has a child. Nobody comes to inform a woman in 10 years' time that she has a child because it's not going to take. The least amount of time you can get before you find out you have a child is 9 months.
Growing up, I had a family friend that did not used to sleep in the same room with his wife whenever she's on her period because he feels like she's dirty, unclean.
But when I was younger, anytime I go to market to get bras, everybody would tell me 36D, 36D. And anytime I got it, it just was not working. Yeah, because it was, like you said, the band was very loose, the cup was not fitting. Yeah. But then I had to buy until someone said, you know, go to this woman in Lagos market. And I went to her and she did the sizing. And every time, that's the only person I go back to. Now she's expensive, but I don't have another one.
I won't call myself a busty lady, but I've gone to the market with a friend and the price difference was about 2 times.
You have some kegs too, don't go.
She said it in Yoruba. Meaning, can't you see what you have? And I'm like, yeah. From sanitary pads to contraceptions to reproductive health and beauty expectations, women spend so much more simply because they are women. Today, we are asking the question, what is the true cost of womanhood and who should be responsible for it? This is Under Our Skin. I am Sarah Olsons and I'm excited to be here today. And you know that I'm not always here alone. I can't be here alone. It's not possible. I have my girls with me and I have someone special. But let me introduce my girls first. I have Sugar. Sugar is already, you know, she always gives us that sugar.
So I actually came here with you. Let's talk about sex, baby, because we have sex, you know. Old school mama, I'm in the building, yeah. How you doing?
I love the energy, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine. You look amazing. But thank God my boyfriend is not here. You cannot snatch him today.
We don't do that here. We don't do that here. Not yet. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
I love the jackets.
It's really not a jacket. It's just like a two-piece, but it's weirdly placed.
No, it's giving me this Japanese samurai
kimono.
That was the idea, yeah.
Style, you know, kung fu. Today we have a very fantastic woman on set with us. She's a communicator through multiple art forms, including writing, music, speaking, and acting. She considers her art as healing work and can be found on social media at Gemma Ophili. Today we have the honor of having Gemma Ophili with us in the studio. Thank you for coming.
Good to be here.
There's been a question on my mind, but I wanted to read. Is this your hair?
Yes, it is.
You guys that have locks on and it's your natural hair, you're so patient.
How many years have you had this?
4 years. But it's nice to have you.
Thank you
for coming. You look stunning, by the way.
Thank you so much.
I want to talk about something that affects every single one of us. You know, pink tax. The cost of womanhood. They say that being a woman comes with an extra price because you literally have to pay for everything. But I would like to start with you, Sugar, before we go deep into the conversation. What's that one thing that you've had to pay extra for just because you're a woman?
Honestly, I think I pay extra for almost everything because I'm a woman. When I'm walking down the street, I pay extra because I have to be more careful. If men are going out 9 o'clock in the night, what's the worst that will happen? If you are going out, you're more careful because somebody can touch you. You walk into a shop. In fact, there was a day I was like, and I wanted to buy something. Somebody said to me that when you go that way, the guys there will cheat you because you're a woman. You'll be woman. So subconsciously, we pay extra for everything.
Right. Nonye.
Clothing. And in terms of like underwear, most women have to change their underwear, most especially panties. Some people 6 months, some people after 1 year, because you don't want to use the same so you don't catch any weird disease. Infection. I know this is not a discovery, but it was a discovery to me. You actually have to dry your underwear under hot sun, not just inside. And most of us don't want to put it outside because of people. Juju. But you have there's that juju, okay, but you don't want to put it outside. And again, if you leave it outside, if insects creep on it, the whole is stressful. Then people tell you must wear bra. You don't want to have your boobs hanging around. But have you seen the price of bra? The bigger your boobs, the bigger
more
the price.
expensive it
And
is.
nobody's telling you, say, oh yeah, take this, but they want you to wear that bra. And when I talk about when there was this movement of free the nipples, everybody was like, oh, women just want to. I know, it's expensive.
Very expensive.
Bras are going for like 30, 20K. Nobody's giving me that extra. Yeah.
You're lucky.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's hear you.
Underwear, definitely, especially bras. Even compared to the average woman, I have to pay even more. You go to get my stuff in a store and they tell you, oh no, you have to go to a specialty store.
Yes.
Especially because, so obviously I'm top heavy, I'm buxom, and I'm what they call a small band, big cup. So that's a particular issue, because more than half the time, once you have the women in the above G cup category, their bands are proportionate to it, which makes it generally easier to find, let's say in the open market. But where you have a small band and a big cup, you're not going to find it in a regular store. You will not find my stuff in M&S. You will not find it in Hallmark. You will not find it in Marks, M&S, Marks and Spencer. You will not find it in Primark. You will not find my stuff in the regular stores. So I'm paying the premium.
Yeah, like I just want to piggyback off what she said. I remember when I was younger, anytime I go to market to get bras, everybody would tell me 36D. And anytime I got it, it just was not working. Yeah, because it was, like you said, the band was very loose, the cup was not fitting. But then I had to buy until someone said, go to this woman in Lagos market. And I went to her and she did the sizing. And every time, that's the only person I go back to. Now she's expensive, but I don't have another option. So someone gives me. Let's go.
I experienced one. I won't call myself a busty lady, but I've gone to the market with a friend and the price difference was about 2 times.
You have some kegs too, don't go there.
Swift, calm down. And I'm like, let me be humble. I'm like, why? I said, she said it in Yoruba. Meaning, can't you see what you have? And I'm like, it's not my fault. And you have to pay that price. And I'm a little big, when it comes to my hips as well. And I have that problem when I have to buy panties, because some will go and if you get to your hip, and they'll tell you, you have to go into the store and you get there and it's about 10,000 plus your budget. And all of these things are the things that we're looking at. Yet it feels like every day things get worse. Now, a conversation has been trending for a while now. It's still trending, talking about period care. Growing up, when you're about 13, 14, 15, you get into puberty, you start menstruation. Now, the age has moved back. We're seeing girls of 9, 10, 8 menstruating already. And you cannot say you would not take care of yourself. We've seen sanitary pads go from 200 naira, 250 naira,
120
to as high as 10,000, 15,000. Now, bear in mind that women are different. Some have heavy flow, some have medium flow. A particular, conversation stirred up with the cost of pads, and people reacted to it, and a lot of questions started generating, from that conversation. The big question now is, should sanitary pads be a luxury? In secondary school, we used to see people come, then they just give you maybe one, and
that's enough for a month. If it goes into the next.
But now, do they still do
I remember there's this big, I don't call their name, there's this big company that sells pad. Like you said, when I was in secondary school, they took, I think, just 1 and just 2. They would teach you about it, tell you your flow, tell you 30 days, how to count, etc, etc. And at the end of the class, they give you one. And they will come again next year again, take, I think, GS2, they take a certain, but the beginning class, and they will give you again. So whenever you start, you already probably have like 2 or 3. Then when you start, you just go to that. I don't think they still do that anymore.
So why are period products becoming increasingly unaffordable?
Some of them still do, but you are looking at the whole economy. It's not only in Nigeria. Everybody's complaining, that's one. But I want to even address medical, and I want to address the fact that government needs to do more. Now, there was a day I was at the maternity ward. I went to see a hospital that just deals with women, and I went to see a doctor, a gynae. And I noticed a lot of young children, 12, 13, 14. And I was saying, what are these babies doing here? They had fibroids. So they were looking at 7 days, 14 days flu. Now, as a child, 3, 4, 5 days was enough. Small pad, 1 pad back does not finish. Now, I was looking at these girls, and some of them, their mothers were market sellers. They were people that to afford 1,000 something, which is some of what's the cheapest pad is going to cost, is a lot. Now, when you are having heavy flow, because I had that before I took out my fibroids, when you're having heavy flow, that 1 pad barely lasts for an hour. You'll be sitting down. By the time you walk from here, it's coming out in lumps. And this were what these children were saying. I was looking and I asked one of them, so how many do you use? And she was like, sometimes 4. And mother was like, shut up, that she uses 5, that she has been beating her to manage 3. And so you're asking this is the right question. Are people really now helping these children? Because people are selling at 20-something thousand. Move on.
We're coming to that. Gemma, why do you think period pads are becoming, increasingly unaffordable, and people are now taking it as a luxury?
The global economy, first and foremost. Everything is more expensive. Raw materials are expensive. It's also, and then more locally, we do not have proactive government action. We do not have a government that prioritizes well-being for the entire populace, not to mention women in particular. Like, there are a lot of initiatives towards the girl child because everyone has recognized the structural disadvantages that the girl has to face, but there's only so much, advocacy can do, non-profit can do. Yeah. Non-profit is looking to keep girls in school, to keep them from being married off at age 12, 10, and then they're going to also shoulder the cost of offsetting period poverty. It's only so much, non-government action can handle. So the government has not created an economy that allows the free market to operate in such a way that the costs balance themselves out. And that's just locally, not to mention globally. Period poverty is a global conversation topic.
We keep saying period pads. I feel like there are other ways. I know that there are other ways to do this period things, even though some have not been hygienic. Like, people used to use wrappers, cloths. There's a girl that was talking on social media where she uses cotton wool. I don't know how safe that is. Cotton wool, and their cups, their tampons. And then there are the people that free bleed.
Just sit down in a bowl.
Yeah. Just let it go. But then we have jobs to get to, so you can't really be doing that.
You have to go to school. You have exams to write.
You mentioned period poverty. I was coming to that, and you've identified certain things. We need a stronger government intervention. And someone said something one day. If girls, because you'll be surprised to find the number of girls that miss school every day.
Oh, yes.
Because of this. So if girls were missing school because they couldn't afford exercise books or something, do you think the society will respond differently to it?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So
issues that specifically affect women's care, especially things that border on healthcare, are underfunded, under-researched. As recently as was it last month, PCOS was changed to
PMOS.
Is it
PMOS?
PMOS. Yeah. This is something that has plagued women's lives for decades. That is within the sphere of the period of the information age now, because obviously it's existed even before science called it, PCOS. And it took so much advocacy, so much pushback to have the bodies in charge recognize that this is not just something that happens strictly in the ovaries. This is an endocrine issue.
Yeah.
You know, so women are only just now coming up to par in terms of access to capital, in terms of access to power, access to the research labs, you know, where they can prioritize research in the woman's body. Up until recently, the woman's body was treated like an extension of a male body. But those are two distinctly different systems, you know, and without that information, a lot of a major blind spot. So if half your population deals with menstruation, and even within the culture, talking about menstruation is still frowned upon. You see conversations on social media and you hear people go, we don't want to be talking about these things. When I was growing up, I never saw my mother's part. And it's like, this is half of your population. Why do you not want to know? So from the culture to the government to the economy, it's not an isolated issue. Things that involve women are not prioritized. True. If you look back on biblical times, for instance, I say biblical times because the Bible is not just a religious book, it's also a historical, you know, reference point. The laws given to the Israelites on how to handle periods, it's enlightening, it's eye-opening. You know, the women were seen as unclean. They had to have purification periods. You could not touch them. They had to be away from everybody. So the response to something that was happening to half the human population was exclusion. So that has been the attitude up until recently. It is now that women have pushed to be recognized as equal actors in the society and the economy, that the shortfalls of these blind spots are starting to become more and more glaring. Girls missing school, you know, women missing work. People talk about things like even period leave.
You see, I was having this conversation about period leave with a friend about 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
And the response was very heartbreaking. I usually have serious cramps on the first day of my period. In fact, I can barely do anything. And, you know, and I'm like, why don't we look into a kind of situation where women that experience, there are women that don't experience any pain.
Yes.
Women that experience this are given the opportunity to take care of themselves for that day. Let's even assume you cannot give them that whole period. And
first 2 days,
let them take care of themselves. And it was like, our mothers were menstruating all the while. They would go to the farm, they would do this. And at that moment, I felt like, what exactly are we doing? We are in a society where they treat period like, what's that word now? Like it's a plague. Growing up, I had a family friend that did not used to, I was still little, it was my sister that explained to me, he didn't used to sleep in the same room with his wife whenever she's on her period because he feels like she's dirty, unclean. And afterwards, you go back to sleep in the same room. You sleep with her. She produces babies for you. And one of the things I've also understood over the years is somehow, like you mentioned, families and culture contributes to this. So, and there are certain religions, there are certain sects that when you're on your period, you can't wear their costumes, you can't enter their religious buildings.
Yes.
So when all of these things are still happening in 2026, how do we navigate from it?
Women are the problem of other women. So there was a day somebody was telling me their initiative decided to give out pads to a secondary school. And so they counted the number of children in the class, and maybe they were 200, and they brought 200 pads or 205 pads. And like 2 weeks later, they went back to the school, and half of the class, more than half of the girls, they didn't get. Investigation found that the pads went from principal to vice principal to all the other female teachers, and so they took it that way. And because they feel, we are teachers, expensive, and why do we need to give the children? Same thing in church. Who were the people when, like you said, the Bible, when God gave Moses the 10 Commandments, there was a woman there, Miriam was with Moses, she was one of his supporters. Miriam had nothing to say. women over the years, like when you were talking to a man about period leave and he was upset. Have these conversations with some women, have it with some women CEOs, and the way they would dismiss you. They would tell you, after I had my first baby, like someone like my mother would tell you, when I was pregnant for you, I drove to the hospital. I had a child. I was in Unilag. I went back 7 a.m. to write an exam. What are you saying? And she would say it like, you are mad. If you like, be crouching on the floor. My other friend's mother would give her children ogogoro that I used to relieve them. And so we are looking at women that have paved the way to make other women feel stupid when they complain that there are period pains or they can't go out. There are few women who you see when their daughters are crouching down that support them. Many of them say, you know, but man, not supposed to know, say this thing they happen to you. Yeah, stand up. And so I always say women, sometimes they are the clog in the wheel of other women's progresses, because if they have fought these battles ahead of time, imagine I came before Noya and had fought the battle in the office that you can send HR a message and say, HR, please, I'm on my period. I can't. Noya doesn't have to come to work. But when I come and HR says, Noya asks, me too, Rachel, have you ever had a hard period?
Or some women can take advantage of it, even when they are not having period cramps.
It's life. There will always be people that will take advantage of certain things. You can't save everybody. It's just life. I am grateful for the community that my family has, that I can have cramps and everybody's like, oh, leave her, let her rest. Because I also have terrible cramps. Like, I have cramps to the extent I throw up. There are times I used to say, I will pray to God, just as in today, you can take me. We don't have to continue, because what's this? Like, you will be on, you have pains for hours on hours. I have a can of different painkillers. Yeah. I've been complaining that for the past 3 months, every time I take a particular painkiller, my lips swell. It's an issue. I'm reacting to it. But that was the one that was helping me. So am I going to drop it because of my lips is swelling now? Okay.
What's a little bit of lips?
I even noticed that sometimes if I'm taking a particular painkiller for a while,
it's working too. Yeah, it's true. She's not like, I don't have to use. There was a night I had cramps so bad that a friend of mine had to get a cab for me to go to the hospital, because it was just,
I used to take injections before. It was that terrible.
Yeah. Yes, and I feel funny coming to tell someone like, yo, I can't make it. It's not working. I can't walk out. I can't do this. There was a time I was working at a certain place that I had a presentation. And I had cramps, but I knew that if I said, yo, I can't come because I'm having cramps, they would think it's a lie. So I took myself there so that they would see me. And that day I ended up throwing on. You know, so why did you not come?
It reminds me of my senior YA, literature in English. That's the one beautiful, well, should I use the word beautiful? The invigilator was kind. I couldn't miss the exam. And it was the first day of my period, and I was in so much pain. You know, they took me somewhere, gave me paracetamol, made sure I finished it, separated, because I was crying. Separated me from every other person.
Thank God for some good invigilators out there.
And I wrote the exam. It was actually a man.
Oh my God, shout out to the men.
You know, they usually have multiple invigilators for exams like that, but there was this particular man that was, you know, took me somewhere, gave me paracetamol. They didn't leave me alone, by the way. So, I wrote the exam and they told me to leave immediately. Aside that, I'm trying to remember any time I've actually spoken, you know, when I have something very important to do and it has been treated with
levity.
Most of the time, it's always like, you're not the first person.
Exactly.
You know, yeah.
So how can we come out of situations, especially with family, at the workplace, businesses? How do women navigate situations like this?
Those who have the platforms need to keep speaking, like we're doing right now. There's nothing to be done but to keep fighting through. You cannot give up. The children coming behind us are depending on us. You know, it's all the rights we enjoy as women right now, we enjoy because some women fought before us. And that's why I was going to counter you when you said women and women's problems. Yes, in quote, I'm saying in quote because I don't want to over-fixate on taking a victim position, yes? But in every oppressed group, there are people who cooperate with the oppressors.
Yes.
It's a norm. So I don't really want to hyperfixate on women being the problem per se. It's really more a personality thing. There are people who just comply. Their nature is to comply and to conform, you know. So the more rebellious, unfortunately, then have to carry the entire burden of pushing for the causes. And that's how it's been from generation to generation. In every generation, there have been the women who have pushed for something. That's how our, you know, rights have grown to this point. And you see that the fight has to continue, because even now, even in 2026, there are parts of the world where pre-existing rights have been rolled back. It's a game of power. It's about power. Everything in the world is about power. And most of the time, people who do have the power rarely, not always, but rarely have valuable. All the other times you're able to show up, are you valuable or not? Why is the one day of profit that they cannot make from your head enough to reduce your value and dignity? But these are conversations that need to continually be had. Lobbying, so the people who will talk, generate.
You don't go through it, you don't understand. But I'm praying for you to go through it.
you know, but you mentioned people that have the platform lending their voice, just like we are doing now. Now I want to take that into the conversation around celebrities or influencers or influential people owning pad brands. Just recently, there was a debate around a particular celebrity that, you know, a period care package that cost 25,000 naira. Now, I was able to, you know, do some sort of research to look into what is in the period. It has 3 different packs of pad.
How many in the pack?
So that was, I think it's 7.
Yeah,
7 in a pack. Okay. It came with disposable wipes. It came with a bag, panty liner, and a book, a Uberty book, meaning there's a target audience, in my understanding.
Yes.
And shortly after that, another celebrity came out to talk about her own pad brand that she's launching, but the price has not been fixed yet. Then I went on social media, I saw another one of 80,000 naira. For who? The Hash chocolates, sippy cup, you know, all this. And then I think it has just 2 packs of sanitary pads. And the question comes up, these celebrity-owned pad brands, is it actually empowerment or exploitation?
Exploitation, because like she said, capitalism at the end of the day, they saw a space in the market and they decided to key into it. I know of a friend that does, what do you call it, pad package, but you get to tell what you want in your own pad package. So that's how the price increase. So if you want a sippy cup, obviously it will go up. If you just want your pad, it will go less. So there are different categories for what you want. I saw the discourse online, and for the puberty one, I just felt like it was for a target audience because of the person behind the brand. It was Mercy Johnson's younger daughter. And I felt like it was just for her and her classmates. So that's from like 11 to about 16,
17.
Yeah. And it was for her classmates and the people in her school. And if you want to inspire to be her, maybe you will join the group.
But other celebrities have hopped on influencing for that particular product.
Yeah, but
Adults, not children, not teenagers.
It begs the
now
question,
I'm going to be quiet.
For whom?
Because the book is not for
Who's
you.
the target audience?
Adult.
Sometimes too, like many of the people that are doing it, at least I know a couple of people who run fashion shows, and at the end, part of the money is given to their initiative. Now, we know a lot of women have been doing this whole give part to the children, get our girls safe and all that. But I think I would now blame education. Now, when we entered school, you were taught home economics, clothing and textile, how to wash your clothes, how to make stuff. Now, I used to work in a private hospital, and I noticed they would put the younger nurses to make parts. These parts were for when women give birth. You know, what you stick under, when you have certain procedures. And so I'm thinking, why is my home economics teacher in JS1 not teaching me how to make a safe pad? How to go to Mushi and buy a lot of cotton wool and buy that lily and the gloss, God bless you, that you roll over. So if my parents don't have a lot of money, I can actually walk into home economics department and get a couple of parts out. Why is my minister or my commissioner for education, female affairs, children health not thinking about these things? Now this is it, because we are screaming parts are expensive, parts are expensive. We are looking for all the big companies to bring out money for parts. Imagine if these initiatives have sorted. So you where you know get, you're right. So at this point in time, again, we are looking at women. Me, I'm one of them, because I've not gone to any secondary school to teach them how to make pad. Yeah. So I'm
Do you know how to
no,
make pads?
really, at the end of the day,
I don't know.
So you see, if I inspire somebody and we inspire somebody, like we're having this conversation, somebody will do it. Empowerment is cheaper, is easier, and it's clean. You just take, okay, after every 3 hours, after every 2 hours, you know, just take it off. But what we are looking at, or what a lot of us, our celebrities are looking at, is I have to have my own, so that by the time my fans, 500 people order at 30K, at most the packaging, everything is 7.5. How much am I making, so that I can buy that Benz and go around town?
Yeah, still advertising at the end of the day. I don't know. I don't want to generalize, but anytime I see any influencer marketing, I'm just like, ugh. I don't think it's not. Yeah, what's your plan? Because I know you don't care about me. You're just.
That's
just
why I said
for
for whom, because for the target audience, we may be clutching our pearls for no reason. They can afford it. They can get it. In the end, maybe we should just remove our focus from them and focus on the people who are actually trying to target period poverty. Because, you know, like she said, it's for her and her classmates, for her friends. Okay. You don't do it, you enjoy. And then maybe somebody somewhere looks at it and says, you know what, the less privileged deserve good things too. I'm going to sponsor, you know, a number of packages for underserved communities, so just so that they have this experience this one time. Maybe.
So when they're done with that particular package, how do they get the next
more?
one?
That need is what the rest of us who are talking to the other people should be trying to meet. Right. I mean, I do not think that, like you said, we can't save everybody. We cannot make everybody feel the same sense of responsibility. Yeah. Some people have power and wealth and have a sense of responsibility, but even they recognize their limitations. No one person can solve all the problems in the world, unfortunately. Dolly Parton, for instance, has this thing in the US where she has children sent a book. Yeah, I don't know if there are other things attached, but I know about the book. And some people have come out to talk about it, like they've gotten their books as recently as last year. You know, every year, not just one book for the rest of your life. She sends you a book every year. That is a major commitment. And she's touched lives, she's expanded horizons, but she chose a cause and fixed her mind on it. Now, have there been other good things she's done? Yes, but those have been like one-off interventions here and there. But she's chosen one thing to do consistently to improve somebody's lot. Right. What I get, I will give. There will be no balance in this world. And unfortunately, you can't make people do these things, which is where you hold on to the government, because unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, the government is there to serve the people.
Yes.
All right. So people are going to have to lobby and then hope that the country works enough, has enough GDP generated to meet as many needs as possible.
Right. You know, this conversation, generally, we're talking about the cost of womanhood.
Yes.
And we mentioned sanitary pad, reproductive health, and now we've, really talked about the sanitary pad issue. And I would like us to go into something that is also, touching for women, which is contraception, right? And we were asking, just before we started, we went around to ask, how many females even know what a female condom looks like? How many females can even walk into a store to buy a condom? Now, it feels like most times the burden of contraception lies on the woman. You have to take the morning after pill. You have to probably get the IUD
or the
injection.
That will make you add weight.
And then you add weight, and then your menstrual cycle doesn't balance, it is scattered. And then there's the stereotype. In fact, the stereotype is a big deal. Even before I was almost an adult before I summoned the courage to walk into a store to buy a pad. I used to either have my brother or my friend, male friend, just help me buy it.
Because you'll be so embarrassed that people are
because they look at you like, you're bleeding. Yo. Talk more about walking into the store to buy a condom. So why is this expectation on women to be responsible for contraception that me and you, as a man, are supposed to be responsible for? How many men actually would go for a vasectomy?
I want to
women are putting their lives on the line every single thing.
I always talk to the male people in this office a lot about, we always have gender conversations, and the one thing they've taught me is anytime I say anything, this person did this man did this, and so why is it that man? Why did you go there? Why did you let him do this? That is always the conversation. So I learned something. A man will only do what you let. So don't let. So me, I don't let. That's my own. If you know you will not meet up to this, though it's both of you, people will still shame you. It's still you that have the health risk. It's you that will still go to the hospital. When that baby comes out, if he chooses not to accept that child, it's you that will still carry that same responsibility. So last, if you know that that's not something you want, you have to be on top of it. Is it okay? Is it right? I don't think so.
Reason alone, women ought to feel a strong enough sense of responsibility for that because of the outcomes, that they have to live with. However, it is two people who make the babies. So one of the ways in which women must exercise that initiative, that sense of initiative, is also in forcing whoever is participating with them to share the risk, to share the responsibility. So you will strap up and use a condom, or you get a vasectomy, or you go home.
Right?
That's simple.
So one thing I'm going to say is because of the big pharmaceuticals out there, I need to call them out. A lot of them don't tell women the consequences. When we talk about contraceptives, what the morning after pill does for many women is what people don't talk about. Most of the fibroids, cysts, imbalance in your body, eventual secondary infertility when you get older, they are caused by these pills. In fact, there was one very popular one that was trending when we were in school, that the government NAFDAC banned of recent, that look, what this is doing to your bodies. But a lot of people are not talking about it. So the man just tells you, after in the morning, you take it. Our young
Provera recently, they've been embroiled in the fallout of that.
Pharmaceuticals. So most of the time, it's not just, it's the fact that, like you said, nature has been very unkind to women. So you don't see a man take a pill and they tell you that after a while his testicles start going blue. But you
there's even a pill for men now that they came out recently. But the side effects No, would you even find
What's
it in the pharmacy?
Yeah, but we
you can demand informs supply.
You can take a pill and your egg stop dropping. Yeah. You can take a pill and just start having issues. Then, sorry, the way society looks at you when you walk in. So you're a woman and you want to be in control of yourself. And I walk in that, okay, I'm going to have a good time tonight. Let me get condoms so that in case where you say you know get, they start preaching. You know you're such a clean girl. I don't like all those other girls.
You're like
I know I'll catch anything. Which one I'm safe? And they start preaching, and you know, women, we love words. Women are highly
get into your head.
I don't do it with other girls. So I just want to say, but you are a clean girl. I know that. Before they start telling you all those clean girls, if you have your condoms by your side, you are fine. But when you walk into a pharmacy, sometimes even the people that are selling, thank God for Gen Z, they won't run you now. So when they are there, they will just be like, what do you want? Because they're all about the money. Back in the day, somebody would even preach to you. I remember there was this pharmacist near my side, and this woman that owned the pharmacy, she would preach to you, and in the evening, she would
They don't want. But they also recognize, okay, on the one hand, be open to life. On the other hand, try to be a bit responsible. You cannot be having children every 15 to 18 months, you know. Try. And they encourage people to pay attention to the female cycle, the Billings method. When I was married, when my husband was alive, it was Billings method we used.
Can you shed more light on that?
The Billings method essentially has you monitoring your cycle so that you know the different phases. The typical woman's cycle has the follicular, the follicular phase, the ovulation, the luteal, and then the menstruation. You know, so your safe periods generally tend to fall within the luteal phase, luteal to mildly cross over into the menstruation. But the thing is, that also depends on how long your cycle is. If you have a really short cycle, your menstruation might not be as safe, because some people are menstruating and ovulating at the same time, you know, or close to ovulation, and the sperm can live up to 5 days, you know. So you have to calculate your window such that you know that conception will not happen within this window. And that's because you're not taking any pills, you're not taking anything that is obstructing or disrupting your cycle. Your cycle, you've established it after having observed over a long period so that it's consistent. You know exactly what it is. I, for instance, I've never used a period app in my entire life. But I can tell you almost to the day when I will. My pregnancy was precisely 40 weeks. Precise. You know, but I also recognize that I'm not the norm. I'm extremely regular. Many women are not from day one. And this is outside of medication. And this is why Billings method is not reliable for everybody. But it is still an option. it is still an option. It's like explore as many options as possible before you go for what is actively harming you. When it comes to IUDs, for instance, they're the non-hormonal ones. If you have to choose between hormonal and non-hormonal, please go for non-hormonal. Yeah. Because hormonal, you have no control over how these things will manifest in your bodies. There are women who are on the pill, and if they want to have a baby, they stop and conceive immediately, no problems.
Yes.
But
there's some that 2 years.
You know, some will never conceive again.
That's the word.
Some will never conceive again. And you can't say, oh, well, then you shouldn't have done it, because they did not have any reason to believe that that would be the effect for them. That's what they were told. It's a very difficult, maze for women to navigate, because the body is so idiosyncratic. You have no idea what is going to happen. Two women will use the same thing on the same day in the same way and have completely different outcomes. But for the most part, yeah, what I was saying about Billings' method, within this phase, you have, please, if you want to go 10,000 times a day and every day that week, by all means. But if you know you are not trying to be pregnant, in the days before ovulation, avoid waka. Or if you are not as devout a Catholic, strap up, Right. Yeah, but at least the Billings method also exists. Right. So if you know that you're safe, then, and you know that the person is clean, because that's another thing. When we're talking about contraception, condom is the one form of contraception that targets two things: preventing pregnancy and STDs. The other is just about pregnancy. So you finish preventing pregnancy, then you still say, let me not catch something, And so condoms, for the most part, are the one thing, that you cover. But it's almost like for the higher level of protection, you get lower. It's like the more pleasure you want, the more risk. High risk,
low result.
Is it really high reward?
And even talking about these condoms, most people don't even know there's something called a female condom. But I've heard people talk about it and they say, oh, it takes a lot of time to use, it is time consuming, it is expensive, it is this and that. So then you go to buy a male condom, and yesterday I was hearing it's as cheap as 500 naira.
It's to get expensive.
And you can get the pack for 500 naira. You can go higher to 8,000 naira. And then they can walk in at any time, buy 2 packs.
They were giving
one pack, I think they have like 3 or 4.
Only 3,
and they'll have a good time. But for women, most stores don't even have it. The ones that have it, the women can't even afford to buy it. So that's another problem. How do we stay safe when these things are not even affordable and available to women?
Again, we'll run back to government. I remember I was at a training when they were trying to describe how to wear a female condom, because they were educating young ladies. Yes. And it took like 10 minutes for her to wear it on the vulva of the mannequin. And then the nurse kept saying, don't worry, it's not that complicated. And we're like, bro.
We are seeing the
opposite. Opposite for me, because mine was during like secondary school, but last day of it.
Okay.
We went to this, I don't know, I can't remember much, but it was somewhere, and it was for all girls, because I went to girls' school at the point. So the whole symposium, the whole community were all ladies and from all girls' school. And the lady taught us, and she said she had the mannequin vulva and everything. She just said lubricate, then put it in. It looks like a male oil, but it's just the outer part. Yeah, it's just more inverted. And I think the outer part was bigger than a male's oil, but it was just the same. So you just put it there, you slide it in.
Well, they say it's 8 minutes or 10 minutes.
It's so, you have to squat.
It's like wearing tampon.
Yes.
I've never worn a tampon.
Okay.
Then of course it's way more expensive. As of that time,
it was way more expensive.
As of 5-6 years, it was between 5,000 and 10,000. When the male counterparts were selling their own for 120-80 naira, that's the cheaper round one they were giving out for free.
I think everything just boils down to the society being unkind
to women. Like nature has already been unkind, so you should try to balance the scales. And that's why I said should, because that's the ideal. Women should take full responsibility for their well-being. That's just being a responsible adult. But beyond that, we all exist within a social contract. We should try to meet one another halfway. That's one of the things that I will say the condom got right. It's targeted at the men. It makes sense. Catch all those plenty sperm. Catch them before they go in and do any business.
Sometimes you are catching future governors.
You know, this conversation, I really don't want to go, but my producer is somewhere and she has been giving me that signal for about 15 minutes.
That women go
I did not see her, but I have to, listen to her. It's been very insightful. There are so many things that, we could have still talked on: reproductive health, hormonal imbalance, fibroid, ovarian cyst, PMOS, so many things. But I'm sure that there will definitely be a continuation of this conversation. Absolutely. In 30 seconds, if there's one thing you could take the financial burden off from a woman, just one thing.
The average woman?
Yes, the average woman. What would it be?
Yeah, it would definitely be menstrual care.
Menstrual care,
It would be menstrual care because I feel like everything or every other thing can be managed. Like I've always said, you can free your nipples and keep it pushing. Everybody will get over it eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't. That one.
But also skepticism. Some accounts were, yet beneath this uncertainty was a growing interest in trade, in resources, in access. Understanding Africa's interior was not just about geography. It was about economic opportunity and strategic advantage. Today, the challenge is different but familiar. Africa is no longer unknown, but is still often misrepresented or misunderstood. And just like in the past, those who understand the continent best will shape its future. Here is a look at the desert route that connected different parts of Africa, areas that were known locally but not fully understood by outsiders at the time.
For surviving is Gary.
The way Gary has helped me in this life.
Gary, if you have like 100 naira, you can still.
In the 7th century, a new force emerged from Arabia, one that could transform North Africa permanently, not just politically, but culturally, economically, and religiously. Following the rise of Islam, Arab forces expanded rapidly across North Africa. Within decades, they had taken control of Egypt and moved westward across the continent. This was not just a military expansion, it marked the beginning of a new order. Islam became a unifying framework influencing governance, law, and daily life. Arabic spread as a language of administration and trade. North Africa was gradually integrated into a wider Islamic world, stretching far beyond the continent. Trade routes expanded, linking North Africa to the Middle East and beyond. Goods ideas, and people moved across vast distances. The region became part of a larger economic network connecting Africa. And opportunity, but it also reshapes identity and control. Today, Africa continues to engage with global systems through trade, technology, and partnership. The question remains, how can integration happen without losing local strength? Because history shows connection creates opportunity, but balance determines success. In a land surrounded by desert, a single river gave rise to power, wealth, and one of the earliest states in history. This is ancient Egypt, Africa's first great economic and political system. Ancient Egyptians called their land Kemet, the blood in east and west, and the Nile itself, they simply called it the river, a narrow strip of life in a vast, unforgiving landscape. To outsiders, Egypt's dependence on the Nile was unmistakable. The Greek historians Herodotus described this as the gift of the Nile.
Symbolizing wealth, status, and identity. In ancient times, they were used as currency and were integral in various rites of passage, from birth to marriage. However, with the advent of modernity, the demand for traditional bead-making dwindled as imported jewelry and contemporary fashion took center stage. In this special report, Bayo Olaoye will explore the noticeable resurgence in the popularity of beads, fueled by renewed interest in African heritage and craftsmanship. This revival is not merely a nostalgic nod to the past, but a vibrant contemporary movement that blends tradition with modern fashion trends. Artisans are at the forefront of this revival, infusing new life into beadwork by incorporating innovative designs that appeal to today's fashion-conscious consumers. Their collections, which range from bead necklaces to bold statement earrings, have found their way into the collections of top Nigerian designers and onto the necks of celebrities, musicians, actors, actresses, and socialites, both at home and abroad. One of the driving forces behind this resurgence is the growing pride in African identity. As more Nigerians embrace their cultural roots, there is a rising demand for fashion that reflects this heritage. Their products from these imitations. For many, this means striking a balance between preserving traditional techniques and incorporating contemporary designs. As Nigerian beadwork continues to gain recognition on the global stage, it is clear that this ancient craft is more than just a passing trend. It is a testament to the resilience and creativity of Nigerian artisans who are redefining what it means to be fashionable in today's world. It is a reminder that while fashion may evolve, the cultural significance of beads remain timeless. The resurgence of beadmaking in Nigeria is a powerful reflection of the country's rich cultural heritage. It is a movement that honors the past while embracing the future, proving that beads are not just ornaments, but symbols of identity, pride, and resilience. Madagascar, the world's fourth largest island, stands as a geographical and ecological marvel of the southeastern coast of Africa. Isolated from the African mainland for over 80 million years, this island nation has evolved into a biological treasure trove found nowhere else on Earth. Over 90% of its wildlife is endemic, meaning it exists only in Madagascar, including the world-famous lemurs, baobab trees that look sculpted by myth, and an astonishing array of reptiles, insects, and plants. This extraordinary biodiversity has made Madagascar not only a focus of global scientific research, but also a symbol of nature's ability to evolve independently and African continent. This cultural hybridity also extends to cuisine, dance, and storytelling, blending African strength with Asian intricacy in daily life. Madagascar's history is equally distinctive. It developed powerful pre-colonial kingdoms, including the Merina Kingdom, which unified much of the island before French colonization in the late 19th century. Unlike many African countries, Madagascar experienced a relatively centralized monarchy before colonial rule. Since gaining independence from France in 1960, the country has navigated political instability, economic hardship, and natural disasters. Yet, it continues to strive toward democratic governance and sustainable development. Strategically located in the Indian Ocean, Madagascar is positioned as a crucial maritime node for trade, conservation, and regional diplomacy. Its economy, while heavily reliant on agriculture, fishing, and mining, is beginning to explore tourism as a sustainable development path. The island's unique biodiversity, combined with its warm hospitality and rich cultural heritage, makes it a compelling destination for ecotourists, adventurers, and scholars alike. In the face of deforestation, climate change, and poverty, Madagascar's story is one of resilience and irreplaceable natural wealth. It serves as both a warning and a wonder, reminding the world of what can be lost through neglect and what can be preserved through global cooperation and local stewardship. Madagascar is not merely another African country. It is an ecological arc, a cultural crossroads, and a national identity unlike any other on the continent. I'm Moyosore Adebiyi for SOUQ News TV.
We've got just what you need right here at Venue Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
in 1957, just a greenhorn, leaving school and looking for a job, going into broadcasting was something that I dreamt of. But that's only meant going into radio, because my old school, Holy Child College, still on the same site in Obalende, 2 streets away from the old NBC. I still can't forgive whoever changed the name to something else that is being called now FRCN. Because if the BBC remains BBC 100 years after the founding fathers, dreamt of starting television, radio from, all the war years and learning a bit from America. It all started from America. Because we were taught about all this. Every time they took us from school to take part in, school's debates on radio, we just walked across. It's all in Obalende and Ikoyi, Balende/Ikoyi. So I dreamt of doing something along the line. And then one of my teachers left us high and dry. He went to be a news reader on radio. Marie Tabio, who later became Mrs. Irikefe. Then we had people like Tung Adedoyin and SOUQ. We used to listen to them on radio on the old, you wouldn't know anything about that now, the rediffusion. It was just, a little box in your home, and everybody looked forward to either listening to the 7 o'clock news in the morning or 6 o'clock or 7 in the evening. So that was all all I had to do with broadcasting. And who was going to take me there was another matter altogether. Who would take you, little 16, 17-year-old girl, into broadcasting? But one had been bitten by the bug then. So, and only God knows where whatever dream you had was going to lead to. We read poetry, we did radio show, stage shows in school. Catholic schools were very good for that. And my old school, just celebrating 150 years of its existence, just down the road from here on Broad Street. The nuns, they were all white nuns. No Nigerian nuns at the time that we were growing up. So all the dream they had, this kind of dream that we have now, going to England. But they were coming here to teach us. So I had learnt a lot of poetry. I had taken part in Festival of Arts, and I had gone to the biggest hall we had then was at King's College, which is also down the road. Means of transportation was your SS foot. No BRT, no bicycles or whatever. So we did it all just walking around and learning from our teachers. And of course, our mentors were the nuns, like I said. So in my wildest dream, there was no way that I was thinking of going into anything like broadcasting. That is going back to answer your question. But they had a lot of plans for the girl child. And not along the religious lines now. But actually, they came to actually engender this whole idea of pushing the girl child forward. And not just me, a lot of us. People like Mrs. Francesca Emmanuel, they also went through the whole gamut of all this dream that I'm talking about. Television itself was brand new in the world. I have to talk about radio because that was what I knew as a child. But television, when it started, we didn't even know. Maybe in America, and then it went to Australia, and then to France. No. France came after Nigeria. You wouldn't believe that, would you? That we were number 6. America, Britain, Germany, his ministers then, Chief Anthony Enahoro. So that's how I believe this whole package was placed on their laps and sold to Nigeria, to the Western Nigeria government. On the radar were lots of other people like me who had dreams about becoming Miss Nigeria. So maybe that will now give you a little background about how I took part in the Miss Nigeria pageant, Western Nigeria, and I became Miss Western Nigeria. Somebody must have fine-tuned some little knots somewhere and said, okay, you probably might be able to deliver. Because radio, but then I missed that. And I was nursing, that dream of still going to radio. Never knew what television was all about. So maybe that answers your question, I'm not sure. But I took part in the Miss Western Nigeria pageant and I won. To London. The people to come and appear in WNTV. The audition was actually carried out before my time. I got involved in so many other things, trying to get a job, something to secure, something, to alleviate poverty. There was not too much poverty in Nigeria at the time because people could still eke a living for themselves and, get by in society. But I was lucky that I had an aunt who was a nurse in the hospital in Ibadan, UCH in Ibadan. And she was married to an Englishman, and the man's friend happened to have been the man, Mr. Mathers, who was brought as one of the technical partners to WNTV. So we met at a dinner party, and just as you and I are chatting, I was only 18 plus. I was 17 when I took part in the pageant. But by this time I was growing up, and I thought I was a big girl. So I opened my mouth and I said a few things. And the man looked at me and said, how come you are not speaking with a Nigerian accent? And I didn't know what he meant because we were taught at St. Mary's to deliver whatever lines we were given to deliver. The Festival of Arts, I came second after an English boy from Corona School. And I was given a beating for coming second. Not because I didn't perform well, but because I forgot to curtsy. And one of the judges, I think, who was then Mrs. Abayomi, Lady Abayomi, said that I delivered my lines very well. So I was the Lord of Tartary. I would do this and that and the other. And so I came second. And when I got back to the school, the nun, Sister Marieta, said, you were not paying attention. So whatever you do in life, you have to be consistent. You have to perform well. The way we're trying to do now, the way we're trying to project your voice and whatever it is you have to offer with a lot of humility, not, trying to show off or to project your own image or whatever message you have to deliver. You have to make sure that it is well delivered. The following year, St. Mary's Convent School, which is my old school, which is 150 years old in existence, went to the same King's College Hall, and we beat a lot of secondary schools. We came first. Pied Piper of Hamelin. Have you ever heard of that poetry? Pied Piper of Hamelin was about someone who wanted to get rid of all the rats in Europe. And all he did was to play the pipe. So that is what we were more or less doing. That's what you and I have done. Being a Pied Piper, trying to get off all the ills in society. That's the main job of a broadcaster. There's so many things happening in the country, and it's only TV and radio that binds the country together. If the country falls apart tomorrow, you will rely on someone from radio or from television to make the announcement, to introduce the head of state who has just won the election or the one who has just taken over. It's a huge responsibility. At that age, at 19, we had to introduce people like Chief Obafemi Awolowo on TV. We had to introduce people like Akintola, Oladoke Akintola, as the premier. And when everything broke down and it all went into smithereens, they brought in Chief Majekodumi as the administrator of the Western region. All this happening before our eyes. There were no other stations in the country except WNTV. And we were there, so we learned quite a lot. In fact, I believe that the whole country revolves around broadcasting. And if you are part of that organization, how would you feel at my age, at 80-something? As young people, perhaps you don't know all this history that I'm telling you about. It's a long, long story. But when you sit down, you have to put it all into perspective. You see that, well, some people are actually meant to be in different positions. Some people are meant to be doctors. Some people are meant to be nurses. But those of us that are in broadcasting, it's a huge responsibility. It's a passion. Something. Sometimes you don't even know how you got there in the first place. Or somebody may have discovered you. It's like being in Hollywood in those days. Someone has to develop. So you have the talent, the latent talent, and then somebody will discover you. So that's how I was discovered by Mr. Mathers at a dinner. I was put in that place because I had won the Miss Western Nigeria contest. If I hadn't done that, I probably would be somewhere in the kitchen washing plates, washing all the dishes. So there you are, if that answers your question. Well, there's no one that actually picks someone and puts you plonk without, I mean, of course, if you don't have any experience on the job, you have no business being there in the first place. But if I had taken part in Pied Piper of Hamelin Towns in Brunswick, I was only 13. By a famous Hanover City, I was speaking like an English person. When I was only a Nigerian, little girl, being nurtured, by my mother, who was a seamstress. How would you ever get there? But you already have that background, that solid background on the rock, as it were. So, by the time I was ready to go on TV, I had learnt from all the other, people that I mentioned their names earlier, like Anike Agbaje Williams. And I wouldn't say it was easy, because you always have that, butterfly fluttering in front of the camera or wherever. I think I took to television like I was meant to be there, with all humility. If I had been groomed by all these nuns that I have mentioned their names, they came to Nigeria to serve the people. They were not earning salaries, To become a nun, you have to take the oath of obedience, chastity, poverty, and all that. So you're not earning a salary. But whoever is there now is thinking of how much money he's going to get from whatever take comes from here, there, and yonder. So they taught us well. And nobody said you're going to go and appear on TV or you're going to be on radio. but just do what you're meant to do properly. It's a lot of sense of responsibility and diligence. And that stands at the back of your mind. That goes everywhere with you, wherever you go in life. Even when I was nursing a sick child, my late son was a sick child. And I was meant to take part in Verdict 79 with my colleagues Kerry Ahmed and Adamu Aogi. They all didn't have, not nervous, but I was able to deliver, and I think that was what, the staying power. That was what kept me going, because other people came on board. I was not the only one. All the members of the board had their own, little nephews and nieces. That was one of the assets that I had also, which was God's gift. It's not by own might or whatever you think you have. You have the talent, of course, but also there has to be some other little bits of gifts that will help you to project the image of the professional. A lot of controversy. There is hardly any TV, radio, movie personality that can scale through that without any, because people are watching, people are trying to find their own little, bits of criticism here, there, and yonder. You can't be a goodie, 2 shoots without, any, how shall I say it, problem here, there, and yonder. So everybody has their own way of looking at people. People say, well, what has she got to do? She went to take part in Miss Western Nigeria the other day. So what's the big deal about her? And then somebody will still add their own salt and pepper here and there. But I was lucky that I was being nurtured by someone like T.O.S. Benson, who was then our Minister for Information. And he felt that, everything should not stop here. There were things happening in America. He made sure that my name was there. I was at the inauguration of President Lyndon Johnson. And we commanded a lot of attention there, myself and my colleague who came from Lagos, the station in Lagos. And for the president to notice that there were 2 black people sitting behind him at his inaugural ball, I think it was very overwhelming for me, because not many black people had invitation to that event. But Charity Adadevo and I were there, and he stood up and shook our hands where we were sitting behind, 3 rows behind the president. Then Kennedy had died, and we were still nursing, we were still feeling very hot about, the loss of Kennedy. And here was the new president coming up. We were not particularly keen on being welcomed by him. But then, things like that happen to you, and it makes headline news. 2 black people, they didn't even say Nigerians. They thought we were from Ghana, because some journalists came around and said, how is your man Nkrumah? And we said, no, our own Prime Minister is Tafawa Balewa. They never heard of him then. But then they had to go and carry out their own study and find out who Tafawa Balewa was. And of course, the whole country was very proud of us that we went actually stole the show at the inauguration of President Lyndon Johnson. So many other things happened. When I came to London, the British Information Office, they were trying to look for someone to host their program. That just happened to be around, so they picked me to host their program. But you don't ad-lib on any of those stations. Everything is written out. The questions, even your answer will be written. You can change it around a little bit, but they make sure that you said the right thing at the right time. So that was how we were able to gain attention. German television also invited us because they were interested in Nigeria. See how the German chancellor came to Nigeria. That was in Berlin. And they wanted a little bit of culture. So Benson had his own band. So we were chosen to go and represent Nigeria then. Nobody knew who the ambassador was, but they wanted to know who was presenting something on TV. So that's how important television has been. And that, in fact, we were the first television in the whole of Africa. The very first station, WNTV, that was a call signal. WNTV, first in Africa. There's nothing like that now. Nobody wants to know whether you are first or second. But the station that is being run in Nigeria, I think, has the largest number of stations than any other country in Africa. We have about 21 stations, and now it's still, still counting. And yours is coming on board, and so many others. I think next to America, Nigeria should have been the best country for television broadcasting in the whole world. There's not so many countries in the world that has as many. We only have to put our heads together. We only have to find joy in whatever we're doing. Sometimes when it's raining, people say, oh, it's raining, and they feel very bad about the rain. But if you look closely, behind that rain, there will be sunshine, there will be something else coming on. You see some silver clouds coming during the rain, but Nigerians don't have the patience to wait for that kind of thing. That's what television teaches you. If you're in the studio, you don't know what's happening outside. You just get on with the job. That's what we were taught. We were taught not by Nigerians. Even when we started, we couldn't go on air and ad-lib. There was always someone there, Mr. Blackledge, to write the script. And if you can commit that to memory and deliver it, you're home and dry. It's not everyone that has a gift, not everyone that has a talent. It's God-given. And if you listen as a child at 17, 18, 19, at my own age, I learned from school, and I was able to impact this into the job. So within a few months, we got double promotion, all of us, because we were doing very well. Anika Agbadi was excellent. Olasope was superb. And so many other people reading the news. We were the first female to read the news. Women were not allowed to read the news. Nigeria started it. BBC wouldn't allow a woman to pick up a script and read the news. But we were already there. So that's how we were able to gain this global attention that you mentioned. It's not easy. Not easy. Like I said, when we were taught by, not by Nigerians. But somebody came along the line and said, we don't have to speak like English people. You can just carry on and use your own parochial background. If you are a Robo man, you can speak English the way you like. That was his own idea. Because he didn't believe in us doing all this la-di-da and trying to, say things the proper way. But that watered down the standards a bit. Because then everybody, maybe he had a relation who wanted to appear on TV, and he wasn't allowed to because he couldn't speak like Ikenanda Goba or Bojalalade and things like that, or Friday Fude or Mike Nahu. So somebody must have gone to him and said, oh, because he doesn't speak like any of those people who were taught by, foreign teachers, people who had learned, people who knew what a DJ, we had a Bible then, that you had to pronounce your words correctly. So he came and said, now that I'm DG, I'm not going to tolerate all this, your English way of speaking. And some other people, of course, that watered down the standards. That's not our making. We were still ready to continue the way we were doing, but then they pushed us to the background. But there were others who were able to perform well. Ruth Benamesia, Opia, Sienna Weber, and of course Bimbo Oloyede, who was born in England. If you already employed those people to deliver the goods and to present your programs, you're not going to sack all of them because they speak with English accent. I don't see how that can be an offense. Cannot be, guilty of speaking English well, like the English people. But they then brought out other people. And you had the head of presentation. I became head of the presentation after I came under Guba. And you're trying to prepare your roster, and you wanted to put such people online to read the network news. They say, okay, bring somebody who can speak like the Radija Didu and do a little bit of Ewe on the side. It's part of our culture. So that is what is happening to TV broadcasting in Nigeria. It's all very interesting. So, this cultural milieu and bringing, a touch of Nigeria. Nigeria is doing well. In that aspect, in the music world, I think we're leading. Some of us who grew up on Handel's Messiah and Mozart, we have to sort of put our hands behind our back now and watch, all the way things have turned around. And Nigerian music is doing well. Afrobeat is reigning everywhere in the world. So really, you can't find faults with that. So when they watch a bit of Fela and his children and all his grandchildren doing well, then listen to the channels on TV, you have to take what you get from there as well. If somebody can wake up one day and say, why should your station be called the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation? I say it should now be Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria. Tongue twisting. Takes a long time to come to terms with. If everyone wake up in the morning and say, this is Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, you have the call signal. Da 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 da. This is the Nigerian Broadcasting whatever. How are you going to put that, into context with the new one? First of all, when you wake up, you don't know whether you are even coming out from the right side of your bed or not. You are going to have to face your audience and say, we are no more the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation. We are now Federal whatever, which you don't even know where the man, who came up with the idea. He didn't even consult you, didn't even put it to test. If the British corporation, they are going to change from BBC after 100 years, they will ask the whole nation, they will say, where are we going to take this from? They will ask everybody, they will do a census, they will do all kinds of things, carry out all kinds of tests to see whether people will accept it from them. No. Nigerians are very hard and cut and dry. This is the way I want it. I'm the head of state, so I can change everything now and you know, all of you can start marching. So, I think that is what has happened to this country. But we will still settle down. The soldiers that have been marching since, they will do attention one day. And then we'll be able to sort ourselves out gradually. I think we're going through the right process now. People are beginning to find their own feet. If things go around, price of goods go up, Nigerians will find a way to come to terms with that. When we were growing up, everything was done. We won't say according to the colonial rules and regulations, but at least there were standards that were set down for you and things that you had to toe the line. This is the proper way to do things. But if somebody says, no, let's turn around and turn it upside down. SOUQ, Nigeria, that shook the whole world, that brought everybody attention to see what Africa has to offer the whole world. It happened here on this soil in Nigeria. I was a member of the ceremonial committee. I remember the opening ceremony. There were about 15 heads of state. We've never had anything like that since then. That is what we should ask ourselves. Every head of state that takes over from Nigeria should find out again. It's not from broadcasting that you can get the answer. You can get the answer from technocrats who had worked in all those areas. What happened? How come it couldn't happen again? It's like Armageddon. Every country was represented. Every culture was represented. Miriam Akiva was watching us and called us at the station one day and said, even from the way we linked programs, they couldn't expect that it could be happening in Nigeria. We received phone calls. People were sending us bottles of champagne on the air. The links. Bimbo Oloyede was there with me. I was at the opening ceremony. I was yanked from there to come back to the station. From, you know, interacting with the head of state or with our head of state at the time to come and man the station because what was phenomenal. How come we've not been able to do it? 77 years, how long ago was that? I was only 37 years old then. I'm going on 90 now. It hasn't happened again. We should examine that. Even the head of state that was there is still alive. Let's ask him again. Let us put him down and say, Oga, please explain to us what happened. Some people came up with a theory that the symbol that was used was fetish, that is what has happened and Nigeria has turned upside down. If that is acceptable, it may be superstitious in your eyes, but let us find out. Let's not call it Babalawo. Is it bad that it is a Nigerian that carved this image? And it is making news outside the world. Now you say, no, it is not good that Nigeria should be able to project an image that would attract the whole world, something that will bring everybody on their knees. After the first SOUQ, we were still recovering, just bathing in the glory of SOUQ. What's this artist, the blind one, who was not part of it, who didn't believe in it, he came and had his own SOUQ, all on his own, from America. Stevie Wonder, he came with his whole team. We had to mount all the cameras back in the studio for him. He had his own 7-day festival here in Nigeria. What prompted him to do that? Other people came. They wanted to know what was happening in Nigeria. What has happened? We couldn't have another festival since then. What do you think went wrong? Nothing went wrong. Everything went so well that people wanted to destroy our own Nigerian people wanted to destroy the glory that's this whole thing that emanated from it. It hit the whole world. People are asking, when you go to Britain, you say, what happened? Why aren't you having? I had a friend who was head of the, he was from the British Guyana, a black guy. He was friends with everybody. He knew all Nigerians. Said, what happened? Why aren't we going to have another festa? Professor Ian Hall, he keeps asking me. Even if we can't have it because it was very expensive. Anyway, Nigeria had all the money. Even though we had a coup after, it was first of all the brainchild of Gawan. And then Muritala came on board. Muritala was killed. But in spite of that, they couldn't kill that dream of having a festac in Nigeria. If we are able to bring out all those programs again, I think we'll be able to answer those questions. I'm still alive. There are a lot of people who will still want to know the answer to that. It's a very, very brilliant question that you have asked. I think if it was another country, we'll set up an inquiry and say, what happened? Can we resuscitate this whole dream? Some of the tapes that we had then in WNTV, some people put them in one place and set fire to them because they felt maybe somebody in their religious organization said, you are the one projecting all these things, so Nigerians are bringing idols around. Who gave them the idea to make the idol? It's God now. It's from God. Whatever thing you were able to put together. The Bible was put together because God loved the world so much and He wanted us to learn about, things that had gone out from the time of Adam and Eve. God loved the whole world and created Muhammad and said, put people together and let them say Allah Akbar every day, morning, noon, night. God created so many wonderful things for us, so many images that we can imbibe from, so many things that we can learn from. People want to come and learn about our country. Instead, we say, we want our sculptures back. What are you going to do with them? You don't have a museum where you're going to put them to make them thrive and people come here to Nigeria. It's a good idea for them to come, but if they learn about your country, what your people have done over the past 2,000 years. 2,000 years of Nigeria image was put together by the BBC. Nigeria went and tore it up in shreds. He tore it up. He said, what are you doing with that? What you call bad belly. I don't know if anybody sang a song with that title. If we maybe start from there.